Hi, this is Freya from Otherworldly, and well, Merry Christmas to everyone not in one of the countries like Sweden who actually celebrated yesterday. But today is just a lazy day here with eating leftovers, so I thought I'd get around to making another video. And as it happens, the Teegle Bento Horse Avatar, which I reviewed when it first came out, has recently received some nice upgrades to the animation system. Although I'm actually having some issues with it myself. I was trying to load in some new animations, and it may just be unfamiliarity with the system, but I'll have to experiment a bit more before I manage to show off the Spanish walk and the Spanish trot that I purchased. But apart from those upgrades to sort of the core horse, there's also been as many as 5 new body modifications released. What you're seeing behind me right now, the horse that Ran is sitting on, is the default horse avatar from Teegle, which is kind of around a slightly, I think, around 16 hands. This is what it's supposed to represent, and it can obviously be modded in via changing the shape into several different styles, but there are limits, as with any mesh body, to how far you can take a certain style. So to make more possibilities, Teegle has released these new bodies. There's a heavy draft, there's a baroque horse, there's a light horse, there's a pony, and there's a miniature pony. I picked up the baroque, the light horse, and the regular pony myself. I don't think I'd have much use for the miniature pony, although it is really cute, so I might just fall for the temptation after all. The draft looked interesting as well, maybe a little overly muscle heavy, as opposed to just more of a longer, sort of shorter leg, bigger barreled horse, but it might be something that I'll need down the line anyway. But I thought I'd show you some of the differences today by showing a rider on all of the horses and sort of giving you a sense of the sizes and also the movements of the horses, how the animations translate to each style. I don't know how well the tack that I have will work on the various horses. I haven't had time to try it on all the bodies yet, so this will be a bit of an experimentation thing while I'm showing these off. We'll start off by reminding ourselves how the standard horse looks at the various gaits included. So I'm gonna have Ran walk off with a little pony now. Obviously, as you can see, the rider has animations that are more or less synced with the horse. I think here actually he could have been a tiny bit higher up in the saddle. But because it is not an attachment on the rider, you can't get a precise fit with holding the reins, and see, this saddle forgoes stirrups because you really can't get them to work. The horses that are attachments to your avatar, you can get those bits fitted much more closely. On the other hand, those horses have more limitations in terms of the shapes that you can do. And let's see the trot again as well. Very fancy trot we've got here. And I do wonder how that will change when we get around to the animesh, which will have its own skeleton and will be usable both as an attachment and as a standalone, I believe. So that should be an interesting game changer. Obviously, I still don't know if you are going to be able to fit exactly to it, like fit mesh, so that your hands will be on the reins and so on, but it will be interesting. I will probably have to buy more ponies at that stage. So I think that gives you a sense of what the regular one looks like, and we are going to switch around to have Ran up on, I think we'll start with the largest of them, the Baroque model, which is taller than the standard. So if you come back over here and park the pony. Whee, there you go. All right, and next time we will be on a different pony. Here we have the Baroque horse body, and as you can see, there are some issues with the bridle here. From Cheval d'Or, it's made for the regular horse, and this horse, just like when you buy a mesh body or a mesh head for human avatars, basically has a modeling, a different modeling, so that the sliders can go to different lengths essentially. I played around a little bit with making shapes for these. You can't use the shapes that you use for the default horse. Well, you can, but most of them don't look quite right. So each of these new bodies come with its own base shape. I messed around a little bit with modding them, and I think that from my testing, they seem a little less forgiving of changes than the regular horse. That one seems to have the most variety in terms of what you can do with the sliders. People have created everything from, warm bloods to Lipsons, and they look good, I think. Without being able to go to extremes in any direction. For example, this head here has a beautiful Roman nose, which is difficult to achieve to the same degree with the regular horse body. So you can definitely go further. Here, obviously, it's tailored for the compact Roman-nosed Baroque style of horse. So yes, you can go further in that direction. On the other hand, you couldn't make this one look like a convincing Arabian because the sliders would be working against the way that it is modeled. Obviously there will be a need for tack and such that works specifically with these bodies. Unfortunately, it seems the market for the Teegle horse is smaller than for the rideable horses from Water Horse, which have their standard shapes. You can't really change them, but on the other hand, because they're standard, you can do a lot more accessories. Still tempted to get one of those as well, but they are a little big. These are more versatile in that sense. So I thought we'd see how this fellow moves at a walk and a trot as well. And if Ran will get going and take the pony around for a little walkie without running me over. And there he just galloped off instead. There we go. Much better. The animations are, I would guess, adjusted in some fashion, but they look more or less the same. They have the same basic effect, really. So we can go to the trot right away. I might have put a little bit much muscle shine on the pony, I say, but let's just assume that I groomed it really well. I do love the modeling here. The Baroque has a really nice body, I have to say. Looks really great with a longer tail. There is an extra long mane that you can buy as well, specifically for sort of Baroque style horses, so I think probably want to do that. All right, well, thank you. I believe that's enough of a look at this fellow. Do love those hindquarters, I have to say. You can come in and park again. There we go. Oh, look, he can go backwards too. What a talented pony he is. So after that, we will move on to our light horse, which obviously is in the style of an Arabian. Maybe you could do a thoroughbred with it, or an Akalteki. I think I will be messing around with that, but for now I will go with the standard body that is provided. While the Baroque horse was designed to be, I think, about a quarter or 2/4 of a hand taller than the base model at 16.2, the light horse is designed for around 15 hands, and as you can tell, it makes quite a difference in the way the rider looks against the horse. Here we have something that very much looks like a lighter, not so tall horse, and obviously with if you were a more typical height SL avatar, this would start looking quite small. As it is, man is looking somewhat tall, but not overly so, and perfectly reasonable for the way a fully grown person would look on an Arabian, really. This model obviously takes a dish face very nicely to get the Arabian expression, and it has much sleeker legs and narrower neck and everything to get a sense of the lightness. And as I said, I do think you could perhaps simulate an Akalteki with it as well, making it a little bit taller, but or maybe a thoroughbred. I'd have to see how long you can make the back, really. You don't have a huge playing room so far that I've been able to see in how much you can change the length of the back, because it affects. It's a bit tricky how the different sliders interact with obviously the skeleton being intended for a human. So again, that's something that I'm really interested in seeing what Animesh will do. Whether it will work. Obviously, actually, I don't know how it will work in terms of sliders. If it will be able to hook into, you won't be able to log into them. So maybe it won't have sliders. It will just be whatever you design it to be, and won't be changeable in that way. But that's me speculating and going off on a bit of a tangent. We'll have a little bit of a walk and trot circle on the light horse as well to see how that one moves. As you can see here, I think that actually man is still looking a little high up. His hands are floating above the reins, so it would take a bit more adjusting actually to get him to look quite right on this horse. I would like to see a little bit more neck on it. It looks a little spindly. I think the Baroque model is more successful, at least in the shape that is included. So I'll have to fiddle around with this one and see if I can get it a little bit to my liking. And again, you could just assume that it is a very, very refined Arabian. The tack kind of works on this one. It's actually a little big, as you see, over the head, and the girth actually hangs under the stomach. So there's a lot less to the barrel of the horse. But you could sort of make it work. The saddle also looks a bit short because that one stretches a bit with the length of the horse, and obviously this horse is shorter in the back. And that leaves us with one more model to take a look at today, which is the pony model. And we'll see. I think Rand's probably going to look rather funny on top of that one, so maybe he'll just get to lead it instead. And here's that darling little pony, and this is not, as I said, the smallest of the ponies. There is a miniature pony. This one's fairly small as it is, however. Of the sort of short, stocky variety. As you can see, the saddle really doesn't work here. The barrel isn't large enough under, and the body is too short. Similar with the bridle, it cuts into the head, so he would definitely need some different tack. Now he kind of looks okay for something for man to sit on. If I could make him look a bit shaggier, I think I could make a nice Icelandic pony with this one. He's got about the right height, and would want him a little less heavy. They're actually not as heavy as you might think under all that mane and everything, so the head would need to be a little lighter, and I haven't really experimented with how far I can take that, but a grown person can ride one of these. You might not look as majestic as on a Baroque horse, but it looks pretty darn adorable. But I thought we'd show him off being led instead, since there is a lead function. So I'll have man dismount and have a lead around. Obviously, as you see, the reins don't actually change, but if he walks forward, the horse will happily walk along. And there you can get a good sense of the sizing, other than the fact that man is actually sinking down a little bit now and would need to change his own hover height, so he would be a little taller compared to the horse. But it's not tiny. It's a perfectly reasonably sized horse or pony. And I like being able to have these options rather than having just gigantic horses. So the other riding horses are made sort of for big avatars, and you can't really change them much at all because you don't really have that control. So this is really a nice option for having that smaller horse as well. Nice stocky build on this one, sort of looks like a miniature of the Baroque model, but do want to see what else I can do with it. And of course, if Teegle comes out with even more horses, I will be very interested in taking a look at those as well. There's there's a lot of additions that you can, or add-ons that you can buy. You've got all these different coats. I've only gotten a few, and there's tons of gorgeous coats out there. Lots of nice animations and poses for photos and for adding to the AO. So I need to experiment with that and learn a bit more about it. I've used the horse mostly as a static prop. But if I want to use him more in videos, I need to have a better sense of how the animations work. And finally, I thought I would just wrap up by taking a look at what myself and Ran are wearing for this video. Before making this video, I sent Ran off to do some shopping at Stitch. They've got 50% on their gift cards right now, so that seemed like a good opportunity for him to pick up some more mesh clothing. And what he's got on here is the Albar top, kind of a tunic doublet sort of thing. Really nice texturing, I think. The structure of the leather looks great, and he picked up the Galador boots to go with that one. They're a little plainer. I think they but maybe they could have had a little bit more structure on the sort of the body of it, but I like the stitching. That's perfectly good for just adding a little definition. And then the trousers are pliers from Freya's Fashion. We had a lot of problems finding some pants that would work, and there's unfortunately a real shortage of pliers, like leggings or tights for guys. And when you're looking at sort of fantasy medieval clothing, you really need that, because it's difficult with mesh to get it to work with tall boots and or work under tunic with a pair of pants that's from another creator. So yes, please make some, and guys, please buy them so that there's a market for them. Please learn how to use the pliers. It's really not that hard, even if you don't have a partner who'll insist that you learn how to do it. So that's his outfit, and I've got on the special Christmas edition of special group edition of Noel from Sensifine. This the gold version is a group gift version, basically, a group exclusive, but it's also available at the main store for a small, a lower cost than regular releases. This gown is also available at Genre's last round, the Winter Fantasy round, in the regular color palette. But if you want this lovely gold, you'll have to go to the Sensifine main store. And I've also picked up another hair from Stealthic to I won a temporary blogger spot at the blogger and vlogger party, and so I'm taking the opportunity to blog some of their older releases as well. And I do like how they do the sort of the fine hairs around the face, and the textures feel quite realistic. So that's what we've got on, and I think that about covers everything. I'll have the links to the Teegle stuff in the post, and a breakdown of the credits for the clothing and where to get them. And I hope to be back with some more videos, hopefully some more horse videos in not too distant future. Until then, have good holidays, and Happy New Year if I don't do another one before New Year.